Lexi obviously is not out there trying to hurt anybody. Lexi plays defense. And for this to happen to her is disgusting. Welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. Indiana, after losing to Minnesota Lynx on Friday night by 5 points, faced them again yesterday on Sunday. And this time, Minnesota, with Napheesa Collier back after being out for 7 games with an ankle injury, defeated the Fever 97-84, winning 3 of the 4 quarters. So I want to get into a little bit about the game. And then, unfortunately, I got to talk about some of the hits Indiana took, namely Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hall. Nasty, nasty stuff. So I'll start with this. When I started the live stream before the game began, I pulled out my 2 coaching clipboards, old coaching clipboards. Haven't seen those things in years until recently, and I certainly haven't used them in years. And I wrote some key points on the clipboard. Some of those things were Aaliyah Boston. Must get Aaliyah involved early. We cannot wait till the 4th quarter to get Aaliyah Boston going. So we got to start with her. I pointed out you have to know where the Lynx shooters are. Kayla McBride, her mama might have named her Kayla McBuckets because it doesn't take her long to get her shot off, and you got to know where she is. You got to know about Napheesa Collier. You got to stay on her because she is Napheesa Collier, and you guys have heard me say many times she's a grown woman among girls. She's that good. I also mentioned Jessica Shepard because she had a triple-double in the previous game in the 3rd quarter. But let me tell you when a team is good. A team is good when you have a player like Jessica Shepard who does have a triple-double in the 3rd quarter of the previous game, and she barely has to play because you got Napheesa Collier on the floor. She's back. That's when your team is deep. And Jessica Shepard never put up a shot in this game. Didn't even have to. So you knew that it was going to be tough. It's a tough team. And in Indiana, hey, no shame to losing to the Minnesota Lynx. Everybody's lost to the Minnesota Lynx. But you have to compete. And so I had on the board, there are some things that you've got to focus on. And like I said, knowing where those shooters are. I also say you have to be able to fight through screens because as I pointed out in the recap after Friday's game, Minnesota knows how to screen. This team is like a well-oiled machine. They've been playing with each other for quite some time. They know where their teammates are going to be. Both on offense and defense, they just flow quite well. Now, speaking of Napheesa Collier, she came back and scored 32 points in this game. Kind of reminds me of when Caitlin Clark came back the first time against the New York Liberty and she dropped 32 points. Yeah, Fee, 32 points. And then you had 14 points from Courtney Williams. Then Kayla McBuckets had 13 points. And listen, Kayla never missed. She was 4 for 4 from the field, 3 for 3 from 3, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, a plus 12. Okay. And then also you had 13 points from the bench. Maria Klindakova with 13. And then everybody else was sort of like a spattering of points. But to come back after that amount of time out and hit those 13, that's really huge for this team. Indiana, how did Indiana do? Well, we got 26 points from Kelsey Mitchell, and then we got 16 from Shea Petty. She's been good for us off the bench with 16 points, and 14 points from Aaliyah Boston to go along with 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. And then we got 10 points from Natasha Howard with 8 rebounds, 3 assists. So we had 4 players in double digits, but it just wasn't enough. A team that's been playing together for a long time and a team that has a lot of missing parts and people who have not had an opportunity to even practice that much. So considering all that, hey, hats off to Indiana. And so let's take a look at some footage of the game. So I said on my clipboard, Aaliyah Boston needs to get involved early in the game. Did that happen? It absolutely did. Right. And I want you to keep your eye on Aaliyah Boston. Is she going to be aggressive, trying to get down into the paint? Back down, turns and steps through defenders, 2 points. So here you see Courtney Williams bringing the ball up the floor. Now, one of the things that I challenged people in my chat to do yesterday was to pay attention to all that is going on the court. A lot of times our eyes are locked in on wherever the ball is, and we're not really paying attention to the whole action. And that's why sometimes we go, oh my goodness, I can't believe she had a wide open shot. Like, why aren't we playing defense? But when you look at the whole action, you begin to see, well, what was going on away from the ball that enabled that person to be open to hit that shot. So it's not always just as simple as, hey, nobody's playing defense. Again, Minnesota is good on both sides of the floor and also good off the ball. So watch here as Courtney is bringing the ball up the floor. I want you to keep an eye over here on the right of your screen. This is Kayla McBride, where my pointer is. Kayla McBucket. So Courtney's here bringing the ball up, but here's Kayla McBride. So here it is. So Kayla has Lexi on her. And right here, you can see number 6. I believe that's, I always get 6 and 8 mixed up, Carlton and Smith. But yes, 6 is Carlton. So she's got Kelsey Mitchell guarding her. Lexi Hull is guarding McBride. So what happens? There is Carlton setting up that screen for McBride. So there's the screen right there on Lexi. So Kelsey is going to switch because that screen is there. So now Kelsey picks up McBride. So McBride got a little bit open because of the screen, but wait, here comes another screen. So now you have Smith setting the screen, and now McBride is going to be able to get around there and get some room. And then here, Napheesa sets the screen right here on Kelsey, and then McBride goes over, catch, shoot. Kelsey is right there, but that's how quickly McBride is able to get her shot off. McBucket. So 3 screens and her just hustling, using the screens. Our defenders trying to get through the screens. They're fighting through the screens. But again, McBride doesn't need much time. 3 points for Minnesota. So what do we do now this possession with 8:50 left in the first quarter? Will Aaliyah be as aggressive this time? She turns, and what does she do? The basket. I put a check mark on my clipboard because, yes, Aaliyah Boston getting involved early on. Lexi Hull gets into Aaliyah, leads her to the basket. Boom, high off the glass. Aaliyah Boston in the basket. Now let's take a look at how aggressive Minnesota becomes on Aaliyah Boston. Now on this possession, let's take a look at how aggressive Minnesota becomes on Aaliyah Boston. How watch right here, you see arms are wrapped around here, holding her here. She's trying to fight for the ball. Now face guarding her. Now kind of on her back. And there she is, got a hand on her right there, holding her, wrapping her. You can already see the difference in how they're going to guard her. Now, let's take a look at Minnesota's offense and how well they know one another. And also, you'll get to see how Indiana drops the ball here on defense. So Courtney Williams just brought the ball over half court, and you got Napheesa Collier coming over. So here you got Howard on Napheesa Collier. Now notice here how we are playing Courtney. We're giving her the right side. So Napheesa seems like he's going to set a screen, but Courtney says, listen, they're giving me this. So what does she do? She goes to the right, and because we are beat off the dribble right here, Odyssey Sims is beat. So now you're going to have Howard, who's going to need to come over, step over, and help. So she does, which is a problem because now you've got 2 people on Courtney Williams, which means Napheesa Collier is open. Going back to what I put on my clipboard, you have to know who the shooters are. You cannot have two people going after a Courtney Williams and leaving Napheesa Collier open. At this point, when Howard has to pick up Williams, if Odyssey can't catch up, Odyssey has to come over here and help on Napheesa. But instead, you got two people way down here on Courtney Williams. And then you've got Aaliyah Boston now, who's got to guard two people up here. And when one of them is Napheesa Collier, that's a problem, right? It's a problem because look, right here, Courtney, she says, she turns and she looks, and because Aaliyah Boston must pay attention to Napheesa Collier because she saw the note on my clipboard. No, because she knows this is Napheesa Collier and there are two people, and so she's got her eye here on Napheesa Collier, which enables who is this? Smith? Why can't I get these people? Man, I think this is Smith, which enables her to do what? Cut to the basket. That is a huge breakdown, and it also is a testament to how many weapons Minnesota has, but it's a huge drop. You cannot leave Napheesa. You can't have two people going for Courtney Williams and then allowing Napheesa Collier to have to be picked up, which allows somebody else to cut to the basket because there are many weapons on the team. In any case, Indiana still won that first quarter, 30-25. And that was the last time Indiana won a quarter in this game. So I got to transition now to what the people out there want to call physicality, which is just nasty basketball. It's another word for nasty, nasty basketball. So we're going to take a look at what happened to Kelsey Mitchell, and then we're going to take a look at what happened to Lexie Hall. I got to say this. I have not ever thought of Minnesota as a dirty team. There are some teams when you think dirty, nasty, would try to hurt you, etc. There are some teams and some players who come to mind. I just never associated dirty play with Minnesota in the past. But the stuff that happened to Kelsey and Lexie, especially Lexie, nasty, really. So you see Kelsey Mitchell all the way over here guarding Kayla McBride in the right corner. Ball was being inbounded. So there's the ball inbounded. Keep your eye on Kelsey Mitchell. So she gets the screen. Shepard screens her. And then she gets through the screen. She's on the ball. And now she gets hit right in the face with Shepard's arm. And she hits the floor and she's hurting. She's very hurt. Very hurt. Let's take a closer look at what happened. Kelsey wants to get through because she's guarding McBride. And then there is the elbow gets stuck out, and then the hand right to the face. Now, this is in the course of Shepard trying to make a turn. Obviously, she felt like Kelsey was in her way. And so she extended her arm, which catches Kelsey. So after a forever review, you know how these go. They came back and they assessed her a flagrant one. Now, a flagrant one doesn't mean that it was intentional per se or malicious per se. The language is that it was unnecessary, and it was clearly unnecessary. And it was clear that she wanted to make some space. And so she swung her arm to make some space. So again, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is intentional, but it means that it's unnecessary. She used her arm to try to gain an advantage. And so she gets assessed the flagrant one. The WNBA is going to have to clamp down on situations like this, because when you don't, you get what we saw right there. She was clearly turning her arm so that she could get an offensive advantage. You can't have that. But okay, you came back with a flagrant 1 at least, which means that the Indiana Fever would get 2 free throws and possession of the basketball for a flagrant 1. 2 free throws, possession of the basketball. Now, let's fast forward to the fourth quarter when Lexi Hall gets elbowed in the face, knocks her off her feet in a situation that looks to me to be malicious and intentional. And I've never associated McBride with being a dirty player, but I don't see anything but a dirty play in this situation. So we're going to go and take a look at what happened to Lexi. Kayla McBride with the ball. Lexi Hall playing defense. Take a look.
We're going to look at it. So foul there on Indiana. On hold there. But then that is a technical.
That is a technical. Dead ball, contact technical.
Take a look again here. Kayla McBride with the ball. Lexi Hall playing defense. Kayla McBride grabs that ball, lifts it up, gets fouled by Lexi Hall, and then what does she do?
On hold there. But then that is a technical.
Hits her right in the face.
Dead ball,
And Lexi hits the floor with her leg bent behind her. Here's again. There it is.
It's a little surprising to see
just,
so many of these
hits her in the jaw.
one game because
ridiculous. Aaliyah Boston obviously is shocked at this. Look at that right there. And this is a dead ball situation. This is not gameplay. Lexi, I believe, had been whistled for the foul. Okay, so you got fouled. This is basketball. You all should be used to that, especially since you pride yourself so much on how hard you can foul people. But Lexi obviously is not out there trying to hurt anybody. Lexi plays defense. And for this to happen to her is disgusting. Now, I just told you that what happened to Kelsey Mitchell was given a flagrant 1, which means 2 shots and the ball. They took a long time to review this because they just want to give you time to go eat lunch or make your bed or mow the lawn or whatever. So they came back and they did assess a technical, which is fascinating to me, honestly, because to me, that looked worse. How the other one is a flagrant 1, and it needed to be, but this one was a technical. A technical means you get 1 shot in possession of the ball versus a flagrant 1 where you get 2 shots in the possession of the ball. But how is this less egregious than the previous one? Whereas in the previous one could argue that she was just clearing some space to turn. This to me looks like an act of retaliation because she had been fouled. So I just plugged in flagrant foul in Google to see what it would come up with, a flagrant foul versus a technical. Google says a flagrant 1 foul involves unnecessary physical contact against an opponent, while a technical foul is for unsportsmanlike conduct, non-contact infractions. I repeat, non-contact infractions or administrative issues that disrupt the game. And then the rest talks about the free throw and the possession situation. So a technical, which is what Kayla McBride was assessed, is for non-contact infractions. How in the world do we call what happened to Lexi Hall a hit that knocked her off her feet, had her leg bent behind her, had her walking away, and when she walked away on the other side, holding her jaw, and we're watching thinking, oh God, please don't let her jaw be broken. How is that considered non-contact and just unsportsmanlike? That from Kayla McBride was worse than what happened with Jessica Shepard on the other end. It's all bad though. The things that go on in this league, I just shake my head. And the level of physicality that was allowed in this game versus Friday's game was definitely different, as was pointed out in the post-game press conference. Now, I got to talk about something else because there are people who are livid because they can't fathom why the Indiana Fever team will not retaliate. You cannot fathom how you see what you saw, particularly there with Lexi, but perhaps even with what happened to Kelsey. How do you just stand there? And I know there's a debate. Like, there are some people who are like, listen, they're not fighting people, which is one of the reasons why we like the team, because they're not out there trying to thug. They're not out there being like some of the stuff we see. They play clean basketball. They are respectable in their approach. They're not out there trying to hurt people. They're not out there just trying to elbow somebody because they got a foul or create space by whacking. That they just don't do that. And I, for one, respect the team because of that. That's not the team's DNA. I don't want it to be the team's DNA. So there are people who are like, yeah, that's just not who they are. And we respect that. But then there's the other group that says, how do you not retaliate in that situation? I mean, I know, like, people were like horrified at what they just saw. And then there's this place in the middle where people are like, okay, I don't want the team out there fighting and taking matters in their own hands. I don't want that. But at the same time, something like turn, get in someone's face, have some words, something, so that you don't just stand there when what we saw just happened. I know it's a situation where, like I said, it's not in the team's DNA, and the team needs to win games or it's a wrap. Right now with the standings, this team not only needs to win, but they need other people to lose. They went from 6th place to 8th place yesterday with that loss because Seattle won, and so did Golden State, and Golden State owns a tiebreak, and it's just so tight. And I understand you don't want to mess around and get thrown out of games and the whole thing. There's got to be someplace in the middle where maybe I'm not throwing fists, but I gotta make sure you understand that we can't have this. This league has a problem, and the league has no answer to the problem. I don't have anything more to say about it. It's infuriating. So Indiana will take on Seattle on Tuesday, according to this schedule. It is a huge game, as really every one of them is. And so I will catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.